Hi, I'm Bob Williams, and it's great to be here. And you've seen a lot of presentations, and I know you've been waiting for the exact solution, and we have that, and we'll be sharing it momentarily. But I just want to think, I was thinking about what is probably one of the most significant, meaningful things that's happened here. And one of them was just, it wasn't that long ago, Gunnar had a quote in the paper saying, you know, we're not having the conversations that we need to be having. And we have a governor, Governor Walker and Lieutenant Governor Byron Malott, that are giving us the framework to have those conversations. And that's significant. And it is so cool that Governor Walker and Lieutenant Governor Byron Malott are staying in the same dorms that we're staying in. I don't care who you are or how you're doing, we all have a better bed than that dorm room bed. And it's great. And to have a governor sit down and say, hey, I want to hear what you think about education. Or I went off to work on something and a whole bunch of high school students came, and then Governor Walker came down to share and listen again. And so to have that leadership that models the work that we need to do to come together as a team. And I also think one of the most significant things is what's even happening outside of the sessions. Yesterday I was heading back to my dorm thinking I'm going to eat my peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and there was an international economist, a nurse practitioner, an executive board member, a school board member, a parent advocate, and they're like, hey, why don't we go out to eat? And my car only holds 5 people. We packed 6 in. We went out and we had a great burger. We solved quite a few of Alaska's problems, but it was just a rich conversation. And once again, at the table next to us, Governor Walker was eating there, same place I'm having a hamburger. So that's awesome. This type of working together, it's one of those things that I'm so proud and inspired to be here and be a part of this. And one of the things that Mary Pete and I wanted to do in our session this morning is we wanted to honor that and make sure that we're empowering, engaging, and respecting the wisdom that we have in the room. So we chose a spokesperson to represent the learning that we did this morning. And the winner of that is Justin Roberts. Thank you very much.
So our group had a lot of discussion on a variety of different issues. We had a lot of different viewpoints and perspectives on how to deal with both revenue and spending side of the equation. We were far from consensus on any model. I think the closest to consensus we came up with was that this is a difficult problem and there's no easy solutions. In our initial voting with the green dots and the red dots, the top 3 categories were use of the PFD earnings and capping the dividend, income tax, and minimum oil tax. The least popular choices were the sales tax and property taxes. The other options we talked about were corporate income tax, healthcare provider tax, the motor fuels tax, state lottery, fisheries taxes, and other oil taxes. The model we plugged into the computer didn't quite get to a balanced budget, but it was really close by 2016. I think we were at 170 million off. But then the deficit goes back up to 1.5 billion by 2030. The model we plugged in was income tax at 15% of the federal liability, which closed about 15% of the gap. Use of 50% of the PFD earnings after a 4% endowment, which closed about 30% of the gap. 10% minimum oil tax, which closed about 15% of the gap. Capping the PFD at 1,000, which closed another 10%. We did a 10% spending cut in 2016, which closed another 15%. We did a 2% increase in corporate income tax, which closed 5% of the gap. We had a 3% healthcare provider tax, which was about 1%, a 5% increase in motor fuels tax, which was about 1%, and the state lottery, which was less than 1%. And I don't think it was a model that anybody liked or really ended up with a consensus that this is what we should do. I think there was an idea that we need a lot more discussion on the details and how to balance the revenue options and the spending cuts in a way that was fair to all groups. And so we talked about different income levels, rural versus urban, different industries and the impact on different industries. There were general questions about whether the model properly values things like oil tax credits going forward, whether additional cuts are possible, whether the model properly valued future oil prices. There was discussion on proper level for various revenue options. Comments about the need for a broad range of revenue options that are shared by individuals and across industries. We talked about the use of the PFD unduly impacting poorest Alaskans. discussion of the impact that various taxes have on industry, investment, and production. We talked about the PFD generally being spent in-state and how cutting it might hurt rural Alaskans and money staying within the state of Alaska. We talked about the income tax and the fact that it brings revenue from seasonal and North Slope workers, as well as the impact that it has on Alaskans. And then we ended with a long discussion of natural gas reserves tax. We didn't get anywhere close to an agreement. And I think in general, we just had a variety of really strong views on pretty much every topic that we talked about. And at least I personally found it to be a fascinating discussion and to highlight some of the difficulties that we're going to have moving forward, the complexity on reaching a consensus and how we as a state can move forward as Alaskans. But I think the point that this all brings up is that that's a discussion that we have to start.